Carlos Alcaraz has fired up the build-up to the quarterfinals in Rome with a direct and forceful statement: "I want revenge." The Mercian, world number 3, has put behind him a tough match against Karen Khachanov and already has his sights set on his next opponent, Jack Draper, the same player who eliminated him at Indian Wells. Now, with the conditions in his favor and his motivation at its peak, Alcaraz is looking to rewrite the story. Could this be the match that marks his redemption against the Brit? The Rome Masters 1000 is bringing out the best, and the most demanding, in Carlos Alcaraz. Against Karen Khachanov, the Spaniard endured a true battle. "I had to run a lot, fight for every ball," he confessed in a press conference. The Russian's level was extremely high, and Carlitos needed all his grit to stay strong in every rally. He overcame one of the toughest tests of the tournament and reached the quarterfinals at the Foro Italico for the first time. But instead of celebrating too much, his attention quickly shifted to the next challenge, Jack Draper. The memory of Indian Wells is still fresh. In the semifinals of the Californian tournament, Draper stunned the world by beating Alcaraz, who couldn't find his best version. "I remember that match perfectly. I started very badly, I was very nervous. I missed a lot," the Mercian admitted. That day, the Brit was more solid, more consistent, and took advantage of Alcaraz's mistakes to win in straight sets. Now, the conditions are different: clay court, a more competitively sharp Alcaraz, and a European crowd behind him. "I'm ready, I'm looking forward to playing against him," Carlos said with determination. "It's not just another match, it's a chance to settle the score." Draper, in his own words, is one of the best players in the world right now, and his aggressive, physical style makes him a formidable rival. But that extra difficulty seems to fuel the Spaniard's desire to show he's learned from their previous encounter. "I'll try to be more prepared than I was back then," he said firmly. Moreover, Alcaraz has used Rome to work not only on his tennis but also on adapting to new situations. In the match against Khachanov, he had to play early, something he doesn't particularly like. "I don't like waking up early," he admitted with a smile. But he managed to see the bright side, finishing earlier, having time to rest, and focusing on the next challenge. That ability to adapt and be self-critical has been one of the keys to his development this season. Now, with past experiences, lessons learned, and a burning desire for revenge, Carlos Alcaraz prepares for a clash that promises intensity, pace, and plenty of emotion. He said it himself: "It'll be an interesting match to watch and to play." And for tennis fans, an unmissable encounter between two young players hungry for glory. Carlos Alcaraz reaches the quarterfinals in Rome with his fitness restored, his game rising, and a clear emotional goal: to avenge his loss at Indian Wells. Standing in his way is Jack Draper, in top form and determined to repeat the feat. But this time, the circumstances are different, and Carlitos is no longer the same player he was a few weeks ago. Beyond the result, this match represents a test of character for the Mercian, a head-to-head between two of the new faces of world tennis who are shaping the sport's future through talent, strength, and rivalries that are only just beginning. Jack Draper isn't hiding. Ahead of his quarterfinal match against Carlos Alcaraz at the Rome Masters 1000, the Brit sends a clear message: "I know the kind of tennis he'll bring." Draper, one of the breakthrough players of 2025, has arrived at this stage with conviction, respect for his opponent, and above all, a hunger to prove he can win on any surface, even clay. With a recent win over the Spaniard and a steady evolution in his game, especially his forehand, are we witnessing the birth of a new rivalry on the ATP Tour? Jack Draper has taken a big leap forward in 2025. Not just in terms of results, but in how he's achieved them. He is already the second player with the most wins this year and has made it clear in Rome that he can also compete on clay, a surface where he's still looking to establish himself. The key to this progress, according to Draper himself, has been consistency. "I don't feel like I've changed much. I just try to be consistent, listen to my coach, and save energy off the court." No fanfare or magic formulas, the Brit has built his rise step by step. His match against Corentin Moutet was a mental test. Draper admitted he felt uncomfortable, surprised by the Frenchman's style, and frustrated at times. But he also appreciated the learning experience. "I knew I had to make tactical changes. I took away a lot of lessons from that match." That ability to adapt and reflect is part of his new version, a more mature, resilient Draper, with a clear goal: to keep growing by facing the best. And among the best is, of course, Carlos Alcaraz. Both come into this match as two of the top 5 players of the season so far. Draper doesn't see it as an unattainable feat but recognizes it as a major test. "I have a lot of respect for him. I know the kind of tennis he'll bring. It's going to be very hard to beat him." Still, he's ready for the challenge. He already beat him at Indian Wells and now wants to prove it wasn't a fluke. "I want to make a statement," he said. "Rome will be the stage to measure his progress on the most demanding surface." One of Draper's most notably improved weapons is his forehand. For years, it was his weakness, but with technical work and mechanical adjustments, he's turned that shot into a more reliable tool. "Before, I couldn't hold my ground when they attacked that side. Now I hit more out in front and position my body better. I'm still improving." That technical evolution is crucial, especially if he wants to withstand the intensity and rhythm that Alcaraz imposes from the baseline, particularly on clay. Draper knows his forehand still has room to grow, but he also understands that tennis is a constant process of adaptation. Look at Nadal's forehand in 2009, it was different from 2008's and also from 2010's. Sometimes you don't even think about it, it just changes. That open and flexible perspective is what now has him competing on equal footing with the world's best, and it's what could turn this match in Rome into a true battle of styles and strategies. Jack Draper arrives at a showdown with Carlos Alcaraz in Rome more prepared than ever. With the Indian Wells experience under his belt, a more complete game, and a matured mindset, the Brit wants to establish himself as a real contender on all surfaces. Alcaraz will be his toughest test on clay yet, but also a golden opportunity to confirm his progress. This match isn't just a quarterfinal clash, it's a new chapter in a rivalry that could define a generation. Two young talents, two contrasting styles, and one common goal: to reign in world tennis. Carlos Alcaraz has done it again. At just 22 years old, the Mercian tennis star has reached a new milestone in his career. He has now made the quarterfinals of all the most important tournaments on the ATP Tour. His latest achievement came at the Rome Masters 1000, where he defeated Karen Khachanov to secure a spot among the final 8. But Alcaraz isn't settling. While the world celebrates his feat, he's already thinking about what's next, reaching all the semifinals. Is he writing his name alongside the all-time greats? Alcaraz's triumph over Karen Khachanov didn't just allow him to advance in Rome. With that victory, the Spaniard reached a mark that showcases his incredible consistency on tour. He's made the quarterfinals at every major tournament, from Grand Slams to Masters 1000 events. A feat he himself wasn't entirely aware of. "I knew I was missing one, but I thought there were still a few left," he admitted in surprise after the match. Sometimes, history is written without the protagonist even realizing it. Achievements like this are rare, especially for such a young player. However, Alcaraz remains focused. Beyond being the youngest to do it, what matters most to him is having achieved it. "The important thing is to have made it, not whether I'm the youngest or not," he said. His words reflect an uncommon maturity and a constant drive. Because after reaching all the quarterfinals, now he's setting his sights on the next level, making all the semifinals. Competing until the end, always. And by the way he's playing, that goal doesn't seem far off. Alcaraz has shown that confidence and mental preparation are just as important as natural talent. And this victory in Rome has come at the perfect time, just weeks before Roland Garros. His schedule, of course, offers no rest. This very Wednesday, without a break, he returns to the court to face Britain's Jack Draper, a young, in-form opponent who already beat him this year at Indian Wells. It will be another physical and emotional test, but Carlitos isn't intimidated. Having an intense and long match gives you confidence. "You know you can withstand that pace," he said after beating Khachanov. The physical demands are becoming a factor, but so is experience. Alcaraz knows that big tournaments require endurance. That's why every straight sets win and every day without physical issues counts. Beyond the technical aspects, what he conveys most is confidence. The Mercian feels strong, focused, and with a clear goal: to reach Paris with the right momentum. Every match in Rome is part of a strategic preparation for Roland Garros, and also an opportunity to keep setting records. And this new milestone, even if he downplays it, brings him one step closer to the legendary names in the sport. Carlos Alcaraz has reached a new milestone in his meteoric career, making the quarterfinals at all the major events on the tour. But what's most remarkable isn't the record itself, it's his attitude toward it. Without chasing it, he achieved it. And without celebrating it excessively, he's already focused on the next step. He wants more. He wants semifinals. He wants finals. He wants titles. That kind of mentality, combined with his consistency, talent, and maturity, cements him as a central figure in the present and future of tennis. With every tournament that passes and every goal met, Carlos Alcaraz gets closer to the place reserved for legends. Is it possible to be one of the best in the world without losing your true self? Carlos Alcaraz, the young prodigy of Spanish tennis, opened up in Rome after returning from injury, speaking about something deeper than sport, his outlook on life, his relationship with Juan Carlos Ferrero, and the impact of his Netflix documentary. Amid successes, pressures, and internal debates, Alcaraz shows that the road to the top is also filled with doubts, tough conversations, and above all, a lot of humanity. What exactly did he reveal about his relationship with his coach? Carlos Alcaraz returned to action at the Rome Masters 1000 with the eyes of the world on him. After overcoming an adductor injury that kept him out of the Madrid tournament, the 22-year-old Mercian impressed not only with his tennis, but also with his words. During a press conference, he shared his emotions about the recent release of his Netflix documentary. He admitted he was nervous about how the public would react, unsure whether people would like it or not. But to his relief, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Fellow players and fans congratulated him for showing his most human side. The documentary reveals the most intimate aspects of the young player, on and off the court, including his relationship with his coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero. Alcaraz spoke candidly about a bond that, while strong, also has its differences. He explained that he's learned not to pay too much attention to what others say and to follow his own path, even if it sometimes clashes with how his team sees things. It felt strange to my team that I wanted to enjoy life and not be 100% professional all the time, he confessed candidly. He navigates daily life in that contrast between youth and discipline. But those differences aren't a source of conflict. On the contrary, Carlos emphasized that they're part of a healthy and real relationship. I'm not going to say it's an argument, but the conversation between coach and player is one we all have, he explained. He added that arguing, having different points of view, and talking things through is part of the process. In his view, that's exactly what makes his relationship with Ferrero so special. They respect each other, they listen, and even if they don't always agree, they move forward together. Alcaraz made it clear that he deeply values his support system. For him, balance means spending time with family, friends, and his team, without losing joy or authenticity. It's that mix of discipline and freedom that has defined his career so far. I keep doing the things I enjoy, he said, reaffirming his commitment to being true to himself. In a world as demanding as professional tennis, maintaining that mindset isn't easy, but he's made it his personal trademark, even if it means facing criticism or misunderstanding. Carlos Alcaraz isn't just an extraordinary talent on the court, he's also building a different model of success. Instead of blindly following what's expected of a tennis star, he's chosen to live the sport in his own way, with honesty, authenticity, and open dialogue. His relationship with Ferrero isn't a story of perfection, but of ongoing construction. And that makes it all the more valuable. This kind of transparency is rare at the highest level of sport. But Alcaraz has done it with humility and maturity, showing that behind every trophy, there's a young man who also learns, stumbles, reflects, and above all, feels.